U.S. Army doctor and anesthesiologist charged with conspiring to provide U.S. military medical records to Russian government. A wife and husband from Maryland have been charged with conspiring to provide the Russian government with personal medical records from the U.S. government and military, according to a newly unsealed federal indictment. Anna Gabrielian, an anesthesiologist practicing in Baltimore, along with her husband, Jamie Leigh Henry, a major and doctor in the U.S. Army, allegedly provided individually identifiable health information, which is protected under federal law, to an FBI undercover agent posing as a Russian government employee. Both Gabrielian and Henry were arrested Thursday morning, according to the U.S. Attorney's Office in the District of Maryland. After appearing in court, they were released on home detention with 24/7 location monitoring. Gabrielian also has a $500,000 unsecured bond. According to the indictment, Gabrielian was contacted by the undercover agent, who claimed to be an employee of the Russian embassy, in August, after Gabrielian had reached out to the Russian embassy to offer her and her husband's assistance to the Russian government several months earlier. CNN is reaching out to the defendants. No attorneys have been listed in court records. During a meeting with the undercover agent in a Baltimore hotel, according to the indictment, Gabrielian said she was motivated by patriotism toward Russia and wanted to provide assistance even if it meant risking jail time. She also allegedly told the undercover agent that her husband could provide information on how the U.S. military sets up hospitals during war and on training provided to the Ukrainian military, and warned that any information they pulled needed to be motivated by patriotism toward Russia due to the risk of being uncovered. In a separate meeting, Henry claimed to have looked into volunteering to join the Russian army after the conflict in Ukraine began, but didn't have the necessary combat experience, according to the indictment. Henry has looked into volunteering to join the Russian army after the conflict in Ukraine began, level security clearance, the indictment says. Gabrielian and Henry both suggested that they provide the undercover agent with medical information from members of the U.S. military and their families from Fort Bragg, where Henry was stationed as a staff internist, as well as from the medical institution where Gabrielian worked in Baltimore, the indictment alleges. Henry, the indictment says, provided to the undercover agent during an August meeting the health records of a U.S. Army officer, Department of Defense employee, and the spouses of 3 Army veterans, 2 of whom are deceased. The indictment also alleges that Gabrielian conspired to provide the medical information of spouse of a government employee and military veteran. Gabrielian also made plans for her husband and their children to flee to Turkey and gave the cover story to the undercover agent to explain their communications, according to the indictment. "I don't want to end in jail here with my kids being hostages over my head," she allegedly told the undercover agent. In another meeting, Gabrielian allegedly told the undercover agent that her husband was a coward and was worried about violating HIPAA, the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. She also recommended Henry read a book from the 1980s about how Russian spies were trained and recruited during the Soviet Union in order to prepare, according to the indictment. Because it's the mentality of sacrificing everything, Gabrielian allegedly told the undercover agent about recommending the book because it's the mentality of sacrificing everything. Henry told the undercover agent that if the U.S. were to declare war against Russia at that point, I'll have some ethical issues I have to work through, according to the indictment.